Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the latest channel about our beloved Carlton Football Club. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Joe Lutzer, and I'm pleased to present the one and only Vince Lochisano. Good evening, Vince. How are you tonight?
G'day, Joe. How are you? How exciting it is to start up a brand new channel, and we're looking forward to people jumping on board to In the Blue Corner, and that's what we
In
all
the
are.
blue corner, yes.
In the corner of the
That's the
Carlton
logo
Football
up
Club.
the top. You'll see it in the blue corner.
That's
Vince?
right, and we have a Facebook page that people can join. Just look up In the Blue Corner, and you can like that page, and you'll get all the updates about the shows that are coming up. And we've got a few lined up before the end of the football season, haven't we?
Yes. So for those of you that we're all new to the channel. Basically, the channel is going to be about our beloved Carlton Football Club. As I spoke with Vince earlier, all views are welcome. We may not agree with you, and you may not agree with us. That's great. That's the world. That's democracy. I mean, I like red wine. Vince might like white wine. So,
I like them both, Joe. I like them both.
All right, I don't like beer. But look, all we ask is respect everyone's view. No need to get nasty. We're all friends on this channel. I mean, At the end of the day, we've all got one thing in common. We love the Carlton Football Club. Vince is taking that to another level, but I'm sure he can explain a little bit about that later on. Vince, just to let the viewers know what we plan on doing. I mean, I know it's the end of the season now, but when the season's on, we're planning to have a show the day before the game or the 2 days before. So if we've got a Thursday night game, we'll do a Wednesday show, which will give the selection and an upcoming preview. Yep. And then we'll have a Sunday wrap, which we'll call Blue Sunday. We're going to be very, very, very casual. And everyone's welcome. Please make some comments. We've already got Lana and Michelle. Good evening, Lana. Good evening, Michelle.
Yeah, our first two Cheerios. Good to see the ladies joining us. And look, things will evolve, and it's in its infancy stage. So I guess tonight's a bit of a pilot program, really. We're going to, I guess, review a bit of last week's semi-finals round and preview this week's preliminary finals, even though they don't involve Carlton. Of course, today is the 8th of September, and it happens to be Chris Judd's birthday, 38. Happy birthday,
really?
Chris.
Happy birthday,
if
Chris.
He's watching.
I'm sure he's watching, Vince.
Well, the one thing about today that's a good memory is that 8 years ago today, on Chris's 30th birthday, if you recall, we had an elimination final victory, our last finals victory, Joe, 8 years ago today against Richmond in a fantastic comeback, come from behind victory against the Tigers. And, of course, then we went out the following week against the Sydney Swans in Sydney. But that was the last finals victory we ever had, and who could forget Chris Judd's goal there in that last quarter to win us the match. So it was a fitting way for him to celebrate his 30th, that's for sure.
It was.
Can't believe it's already 8 years ago.
No, it's not 8 years. Come on, we got to be better than that.
Yes, we do have to be better than that. You're right.
I've just put up a hello from Richard Rash in the sandpit. So that was going to be my next point.
If people, by the way, why don't you explain what we mean by the sandpit?
Yeah, I'm
people
going
that might
to.
be joining us for the first time.
So
we label the sandpit the United Arab Emirates.
So for those of you that don't know, I'm originally from Carlton, born and bred in Lygon Street, but I'm living here in Bangkok, been here for 8 years. Still watch my Blues, still pay for my full membership, $1,000 a year, and I don't go to any games. Great.
And you're about three hours behind us on the eastern seaboard of Australia.
Yes, yeah. So I'm located in Bangkok. Richard Hussain, who is going to also pop his head in every now and then. We say he's from the sandpit. He lives in Dubai, but hoping to get back to Melbourne. It's very hard for us. I'll explain that later. And we might get the occasional pop in from the jumper punch man himself, Rocco. Rocco's a very big boy, yeah. And for those of you who don't know, don't forget to watch the jumper punch on a Tuesday night, also starring Mr. Vince Lochisano with a special guest appearance there.
Just a little cameo, Joe. I don't know.
2 minutes, starring. Vince. That's all you need, mate. 2 minutes, you make the show.
Oh dear! Don't pump up my tyres, please.
But yeah, anyway. So we plan on having 2 shows during the regular season. Now that it's not the regular season, we hope to, like Vince said, we'll probably come on a Wednesday or Thursday night, talk about the game that preceded, or the games, and we will do a little bit about trade talk. So I'm sure
we'll certainly still have some Carlton content. We're never out of the news for very long, for one reason or another. So we'll sum up the events of the week that may have happened at the Carlton Football Club and discuss those, and maybe even debate those at times, and bring in some people that might want to have a say.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty about being Carlton, Vince, and Collingwood. We're always in the news. Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what happens. Put up this comment from Michelle. It's very funny. The sandpit, as long as it's not quicksand like the Carlton board. Oh, Michelle. Very controversial.
There's some very good, clever people out there.
Well, we'll get to bits about that. So, firstly, Vince, we're in final series, one that we, as Carlton supporters, as you said, it's been a long time between drinks for even us being in there, 8 years. What did you make of last week's games? So Geelong.
Well, Geelong,
crushed
I think
GWS.
Yeah, well, I think they look. I expected them to win, and they won in a fashion that they should have won. And GWS were badly weakened by the omissions of a couple of players that are vital to their chances. Of course, there was the suspension of Toby Green because of that incident where he walked into an umpire. Quite a silly thing to do, and he really cost his team dearly, I think. And, of course, just before the game, Jesse Hogan was a late withdrawal. So he's been vital to their forward line, and, of course, it's all about scoring goals. So when I found out that Jesse Hogan was another withdrawal, I thought, well, Geelong's got to win this, surely. And they won in commanding fashion, and they're now through to what I believe is their 7th preliminary final appearance in the 10 years that Chris Scott has been the coach of that. 11 years that Chris Scott's been in the coach of that team.
That's
an enormous achievement. 7 top 4 finishes in 11 years that Chris Scott's been the coach. So that's a testament to him, and also the way that football club is governed, the way it's run. Its CEO Brian Cook,
ex-CEO,
and all of the he's still the CEO at the moment. I believe he's leaving, but nevertheless, that's an enormous achievement for any football club, and you've got to hand it to Geelong. They've been in and around the finals now since probably the last 15 years since they missed out in 2006. Did an internal review. Not an external one. And they decided to stay with Mark Thompson as their coach, and they won the very following year. They won the premiership in 2007, and then they really haven't looked back. They've consistently made finals, and I guess they haven't won one now for 10 years, but now they have another chance to potentially earn another one.
Well, I mean, it's a testament to the club. I mean, I've got a friend who's a Geelong supporter who really gives it to me, and I hate to admit it, but he is right. They do things quite well at Geelong. They don't seem to they don't seem to falter, even though they never get the pick of the draft picks. But they seem to attract decent players. Like they've had their fill. Jeremy Cameron and Zach too. He's been a great inclusion in the back line. Don't know much about Henderson, but he's played well. Dangerfield. Well, they
brought those players in from other sides, like Dangerfield from Adelaide, Isaac Smith from Hawthorn, Zach Tui from Carlton, Lockie Henderson from Carlton. So, they've topped up Jeremy Cameron from GWS. They're always there and thereabouts. But the one thing I envy about Geelong more than anything else is that they have managed to retain their home ground as a venue to play games for premiership points.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, I wonder if things had been different at Carlton. If we had been able to maintain our home ground and still play the occasional game there for premiership points, it would have been
excellent.
I still think it's something we ought to explore. But anyway,
it'd make a good boutique stadium. And as Lana says, I hate the Cats. Really hope the D's can win it this year. Yeah, the D's haven't won it for 57 years. So let's move to the next game, Vince, where we saw the Bulldogs beat the Lions. Now,
what a great game this was.
That was great, but the Lions were very lucky to take that fourth spot. They took it in the last game. So I guess the footy gods shone down on the Bulldogs and had them winning. The Lions were stiff. I don't think either of these two clubs will progress this week.
You might be right. Well, definitely the Lions won't. Are you referring to Geelong, or are you referring to... Yeah,
no,
obviously Brisbane was out after this loss, and another straight loss for them.
I mean the Bulldogs. I think Port Adelaide,
everything's possible, Joe. Everything is possible. We've all seen upset results, and quite often they happen in preliminary finals. Even last year, the two sides that won the qualifying finals, being Brisbane and Port Adelaide, ended up losing their preliminary finals despite having a week off, and they ended up playing Richmond and Geelong, who had to do it the hard way, and Richmond and Geelong ended up winning and playing off in the grand final. So anything is possible. Anything can happen on the day. Geelong's a very experienced team. They're going to be up against Melbourne, and Melbourne, they do look the goods, and I'm a bit with Lana. I hope that they win for Ron Barassi's sake more than anyone else's.
Can you answer Lucas'
But at the end
question?
of the day, you never know. They could get shaky if Geelong gets off to a flying start.
Yeah, sorry about that. Lucas asked, isn't Carlton playing? No, we lost last week. So we didn't progress.
No, Luca, but we can certainly look back on 8 years ago when Nick Dygan and Chris Judd were on fire at the MCG against Richmond. That's all we can do is look at replays. So
Vince, who are you tipping this week? Geelong, Melbourne, Cats, or D's?
Tipping already, are we? We're not talking about the Bulldogs Brisbane game, but okay.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. We can go on the Bulldogs Brisbane game.
I just thought that there was a great game of football, and it really could have gone either way. It was a great spectacle. Brisbane have now, I think, lost 5 out of their last 6 finals matches, so they've really got to address that. They'd be hurting,
wouldn't they?
Well, they did get some key injuries just towards the end of the year with Eric Hipwood going down, their centre-half forward, and last week, of course, Daniel McStay went down with concussion. So taking 2 really good big men out of that forward line has really hurt them. Joe Danaher, unfortunately for them, didn't really step up in the way they would have hoped. So, to only lose by a point must be heartbreaking for Chris Fagan, who's been a great coach for them for a number of years now. So, if that burns inside them over the pre-season heading into next year, I'd say watch out Brisbane next year. But the Bulldogs have gone through to the top 4, and that's a testament to Luke Beveridge and his team. There's a few injury concerns. Bontempelli, of all players, has gone down with a bit of a knee injury, so I don't know if he'll play this week, but if he does, he's going to be a bit suspect.
The teams aren't out yet. I'm just checking on the AFL website.
They'll play him. I'm sure they'll play him. If it's not a structural problem and it's just a pain problem, they'll probably just jab him up and get some painkiller into him. But it's going to be tough for the Doggies going over to Adelaide and trying to knock over Port Adelaide on their home turf. They've done it before, and they could do it again. You never know. But I would be tipping Port Adelaide this week, as I'm tipping Melbourne as well. I just think Melbourne's got this steely resolve about them this year. They structurally are a lot better than I've ever seen them before. And, for their sake, I really do hope that they play off in the big dance in just over 2 weeks from now in Perth.
Yeah.
What a shame that all the Melbourne supporters won't be able to go there and watch them.
I know, isn't that a pity? It's been
but anyway, they've got to win first. They've got to win.
Well, yeah. But I think Melbourne will be too quick for Geelong. Although Geelong's forward line is quite good. Hawkins, if Hawkins and Cameron fire, But I think Lever and May are playing quite well in defence. So hopefully that their pace will worry Geelong. Geelong are ageing, so I think Melbourne quite easy. Port Adelaide, I mean, they're playing at Port, so you think that crowd there, with that never tear us apart, you think that would be worth a few goals to them. I bloody hate them. They've ruined that In Excess song for me. I can't listen to it now. But I want the Dogs to win. My heart wants the Dogs, but my head says I think Port will be way too strong. Yeah. But like you said, Vince, football's a funny game. It's a week-to-week proposition.
There was a game that took place in preliminary final week 22 years ago.
Oh,
do you remember the one?
Are you going to talk about Fraser Brown?
The 1999 preliminary final, Essendon and Carlton. No one gave us a chance.
How good was that game?
Yes. Can you believe it is 22 years ago? My God.
I can't because
it's a generation ago, Joe. It's a generation.
I know, but I'll remember it because I got invited. I couldn't get. I had tickets through work, and I had to go to the Essendon Coterie of all places, right? And I walked in with a Carlton scarf. Yes. And I think there was only about 3 of us, and you should have seen the dirty looks I got. And at the end of the game, this is a children's show, but I can't explain the words that were giving it to me, but it sounded like Fire Truck You and something about the sea and the hunt, and they spat at me and they were throwing things at me, and I'll never forget it. I was really. Mind you, that was our grand final because the week after North just gave it to us. But
interestingly enough, the week after against North in the grand final, we actually got the same amount of scoring shots as North Melbourne. Did you know? That?
We lost. I remember that game quite vividly. We lost that in the first 10 minutes of the third quarter, where we had all the play and we kicked about 4 points.
Yeah,
and then North got the ball only twice in their forward line, and Carey kicked 2 goals. And I turned to my mate and I said, we ain't going to win.
We're gone. Yeah.
So,
we if my memory serves me correctly, Justin Murphy went down with a bad knee injury as well in the first half.
Fought back.
Yeah.
Vince, big shout out to Debbie Palty. G'day, Deb.
Yes, hello, Debbie.
Former channel.
Yes.
We'll have to get Debbie on because Debbie's always got some good news.
Probably sums up the finals coming up. Yes, I expect Melbourne to win comfortably against Geelong by about 5 goals, and I expect Port Adelaide to beat the Western Bulldogs again by about the same margin. I think both teams should comfortably get over their opposition, but there'll be people that are in the Geelong corner and in the Bulldogs corner as well, and they'll have their reasons for saying that.
I tend to agree with you,
but it'll be a great grand final, I'm sure. Whoever plays off.
In WA.
Yes.
And it's sold out. I heard the tickets are sold out for the grand final. Or was it the preliminary final?
I mean, would it surprise you? The ground, I think,
not really. They're a different country over there.
It's got a capacity of about 60,000. I could be wrong, but I think it's about 60,000.
60,000. So that's enough of the finals because we're all jealous.
Yes, but look, I think those 4 teams in the top 4 there are very evenly matched, and anyone can beat anyone on their day. And that's why I say it should be really great viewing this week, watching those 2 prelims. And there's, of course, going to be a week off, Joe, for the first time since I can remember, before we play the grand final in the fortnight after this weekend.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think it's ideal, to be honest, but they're determined to play the grand final on the usual last day of September. So what this will do is, of course, give both sides a chance to freshen up, to get over their injuries, for there to be a really decent build-up. But, of course, part of the reason is all of the 14-day quarantining and all that sort of thing that needs to take place as well. So, the things you've got to do these days to satisfy all of the authorities when it comes to COVID.
Exactly. I mean, you guys are in lockdown. We've just come out of we've come out of a 4-month lockdown, but We'll talk about COVID later. Well, if not,
I've got to hand it to the AFL though to have navigated their way through the season. Again,
they've done really.
You've got to take your hat off to Travis Auld and the people that schedule all of these matches and end up having to, fly teams around the country from one venue to another. Not only take your hat off to him, but also the teams themselves and all of their staff for supporting the players in what can only be described as extraordinary times. And
the other people who get missed out, Vince, are the wives and girlfriends. The things that they've had to put up with. I mean, a lot of these players are young men with young families. It's very hard. I mean, I don't have children, but Vince, it's very hard raising children, and
it is.
Especially some of these players. When they go from Melbourne to Perth, or Perth to Sydney, or Perth to Brisbane, or Perth to Melbourne, and they've got young families, and I mean their wives deserve all the kudos.
We saw a bit of a bombshell announcement during the week with Lachie Neale, last year's Brownlow medalist, announcing that he wants to trade back to Fremantle, the club that he originally came from, because his wife's about to give birth to their first child, and she wants to spend not only spend time but also go back home, I guess. She's originally a WA girl, and she wants to go back to Perth and spend time with her family and have the support of her family while she's in the throes of giving birth to her first child. And obviously, once that child is born, it's important to have family and support around you. Exactly. So that one came out of the blue, didn't it? No one expected that.
Yeah, I mean, we're all football lovers, but at the end of the day, family will always be there after football.
Well, there are some people who have come out and said this is unacceptable, and that he should honour his contract. He's still got another 2 years to go, and they front-ended his contract a lot, so he's been paid out significantly more in his first 3 years than what he will in his last two. So, there's an alternative view there. So it'd be interesting to get other people's opinions on that and whether they think Lachie Neale should be given his trade if he requests it for those reasons, or whether he should be told, no, we're not just going to let you go. We want you to stay here and honour your contract. Or maybe there's some middle ground there where there could be a compromise where maybe you stay one more year and then see how it goes. Or some people have even suggested something along those lines. But it'd be very interesting to hear from anyone and everyone, whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you've been a parent, not a parent. What do you think? Let us know.
Me? I'll tell you my view. Probably not very popular. Unfortunately, it's not a game anymore. It's a business, and you sign up for something. So, as far as I'm concerned, I know family's important, but you really need to think about these things. And I'm not saying who knows whether the baby was planned or not. I'm not Lachie Neale, and I'm not his friend. I'm going to assume that they planned to have the baby. I don't know.
Yeah, but does that really matter? I mean, aren't people entitled to start families, whether it's planned or not?
Well, it probably does a bit, because if he's planned it and then just said, oh, you know what, I'll just get out of the contract, right? So, look, I don't know, Vince. It's horses for courses. As I said at the start of the show, we're all going to have differing views. My viewpoint is that you don't see soccer players and NFL players and NBA basketball players always go, I want to go home, right? They go where the money is because they're mercenary and they know that they've only got a short time in the sport. They want to, unless you're Ronaldo or Messi, and they want to make as much money as they can and then get out. If I was an AFL player, I'd probably do the same. If I was good enough and I was a good footballer, I'd want to make the most of where I am, even though I'm a Carlton supporter. I mean, it'd hurt me if Collingwood drafted me and then gave me a bit of money to stay. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's your job. Sometimes you do have to take a pay cut to get things that you want. And sometimes you have to take the pay rise. And we've got a couple of examples at our club of people who are taking money way more what they're worth, and at the end of the day, I don't blame them, whether they're worth it or not. I mean, let's
what
face it.
what we have to keep in mind here is that Brisbane have got a contracted player in Lockie Neal. He can't just leave because he feels like it.
Exactly.
Now, he can request a trade, and what I think will probably happen is that Brisbane will say, okay, Lockie, well, look, we'll canvass offers for you, but we're not just going to trade you for nothing, and we're not just going to cop whatever, miserable offer might come for you. We're going to have our requirements, and it might be, for example, 2 first-round draft picks for you. You're a reigning Brownlow medalist. Mind you, his form has slipped a bit this year, I've got to say.
Yeah, although they did
it hasn't been quite as dominant as last year, that's for sure. Which is, I guess it's going to be very hard for him to have kept the exact same figures as last year. Last year was absolutely stunning season that he played, and he quite easily won the Brownlow medal in the end. But nevertheless, they're entitled to say, yeah, look, we'll seek to trade you if we can, but we're not just going to give you away. Now, if we can't get a suitable trade, you may have to be prepared to stay. Exactly. And then we'll try it again, next year. Mind you, I will say one other thing before you get on to Michelle's comment or anyone else's.
Yeah.
There's been a number of players that have left their clubs that are in the category of superstars, and quite often the club doesn't suffer as a result of that player leaving. We've seen a number of examples of that in recent years. I think Dangerfield left Adelaide, and then within a year or two, Adelaide made a grand final. Gary Ablett left Geelong to go to the Gold Coast Suns, and then
that was all money.
Geelong made a grand final the following year in 2011. So there's a number of examples of this where star players have left and the club has not suffered, because what often happens, of course, is that younger players take the opportunity to fill the void. And if they're given that opportunity, it's amazing what they can actually achieve. And all of a sudden, the one big star doesn't end up being irreplaceable. Even Buddy Franklin left Hawthorn at the end of 2013 when they won the premiership against Fremantle. And the following year, he was playing for the Sydney Swans in the grand final against Hawthorn, and Hawthorn smashed them. So, it doesn't necessarily... And then, of course, Hawthorn won the following year after that as well against West Coast. So it doesn't have to result in, the whole place is going to fall over.
Wow. Well, just on what you're saying, Michelle, I am in two minds. In one hand, I say honour the contract. On the other hand, I say think of family. Depends on situation, really. But I'm leaning towards honouring the contract. You can't just keep jumping from one club to another to suit yourself. And Luca raises an interesting point. If you're contracted, you should only get to choose the state you want to go to, not the club they want to go to.
That's
which is quite interesting. And that's the same with Adam Chera. And Debbie's written in, mental health is a huge factor now in our game, and we don't want to lose players because they feel so far from a family support network as there has been in the past. It's a very good point that Debbie raises. A lot of people don't think about it. They just go, come on, mate, just shut up and play, But realistically, what's to say that he may regain the form when he goes back to Perth, because he knows that he's got the family network support around him, and his family and his wife's family. It's taken a load off his mind. I'm sure in the last 6 to 8 weeks of the football, this may have been weighing up on him, and he may have affected his game. We don't know the person. So
you don't know.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing that I have been able to ascertain from certain Carlton players over the years is that the year that the baby is born, that first year after the baby's born, ends up being a really tough year for the player, because as anyone would know who's had children before, you just don't get the same amount of sleep. And that does affect a footballer. I mean, a footballer needs his sleep or her sleep if it's a female footballer. And, it really does affect you. I mean, especially a first child. It's amazing how much more attentive you are on the first one, and how much it's a new experience for you. You're not used to getting up at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning to feed the baby or to change its nappy and all this sort of thing. So you don't realise just how much it would affect that footballer.
What about that Carlton player that had triplets? Andrew Carazzo, that would have been a nightmare.
Andy Carazzo. Well, yes.
Would have been a nightmare.
He's a great guy too, Andy. Yes, and what happened there is in the end he had to sleep in a separate bedroom just so he could get some sleep. And he had to get some support around his wife, Yvette, and just to help out, because 3 at once is a huge task. I mean, anyone who's had twins would know that. But 3, my goodness, they deserve a medal after that.
Robert says players nominate clubs that they have previously quietly spoken to and unofficial agreed a salary, I expect is the reality. I think you're right there, Robert. I'm sure that when what's his name, Lockie Neal, found out his wife was pregnant, he would have spoken to the boys. Hey, Freo, I'm thinking of coming back home. You interested? It's the same with Adam Chera. He's
I think you'll find that it might be done through managers these days, Joe.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. And g'day to Robert, by the way. G'day to Robert Cicchini. He's a very intelligent man, Rob, and someone I happen to have known from a long time ago.
And Lana's written, I feel sorry for the Lions. I think he should honour his contract. However, these days, contracts aren't worth the paper they're written on. Both clubs and players break them all the time. Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. And one of the most recent examples of that at Carlton was Bryce Gibbs, and if you recall, Stephen Silvani played hardball on that and said, "No, Adelaide, you're not going to offer us just 1 first rounder and 1 second rounder. Not good enough." And he ended up saying, "No, Bryce, you're not going back home yet." He played tough and played hardball, and then the following year, Adelaide actually came good and actually did offer 2 first-round draft picks, and eventually Bryce Gibbs did get back to Adelaide. But to Bryce's credit, he played a very good year that year too. That Stephen Silvani made him.
Yes,
stay.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Normally they just stuff theirs, not putting in. And Big Goz, hello to Big Goz. How are you, mate? In this day and age, you're dealing with
the great Gosmo Getter.
And raising kids, that's when a better understanding happens. Today's society still doesn't get it. You're probably right there, Goz. Take someone like myself. I don't have kids, so, I couldn't tell you what the youth of today think. I see them on the street and all my friends have got kids and I look at them and I think, God, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
But
well, look, I think most clubs try to accommodate the player. I think, in fairness, there wouldn't be too many players who didn't get the trade that they were after. I think what the club just needs to know is that they're being properly compensated and fairly compensated for that quality player. And I think if they don't get a fair trade, I don't think you can hold it against the club for playing hardball to some extent.
No, I don't.
But most clubs get the deal done. Most clubs actually find a way. And if the club that wants the player, like in this case for Lockie Neal, if Fremantle really wants him back, they'll generally do the right thing and offer Brisbane fair compensation for him because ultimately they do want him. And
I'm sure they do.
And if that happens, you normally get a fair trade.
So we'll get back to the trade in a minute, but let's talk about our beloved Blues. So
sure.
I jotted down a few points.
Yep.
And I'll put up comments people are putting up, like, "Guys, saddens me when mental health is used as an excuse in life." Yes. And Debbie, restrictions on families that are interstate has to be another factor. Absolutely. Our beloved Blues. I've just jotted down the things that we can talk about, and I don't think we've got 2 weeks because we'd be here for 2 weeks. And I thought, this is what I've written. I said, well, what a year it's been at Carlton. Injuries, poor form, the club in general and players, changes in the coach and how that was handled, changes in the board and how that was handled, the review, and now we're coming up to trade period. So just quick shout out to my mate Tony Carnival. Interesting that Neil wants WA, and Chera's running away. And Luca's right. There's going to be a long conversation about the Blues, but let's try and keep this short. So quickly, injuries. The god of fitness. What's his name? Andrew Russell.
The god of fitness.
Well, wasn't he promoted as the guru, and he brought the Hawks to the top, and he cured all their injuries. Well, I'll tell you what, the man with the Midas touch has lost it, because everything he touched at Carlton, he got injured. I've never seen so many injuries at one time, and it probably cost us a lot of the times. But what do you say about the injuries, Vince? Let's be really quick. I mean, we could be here forever, but
of course, look, in a nutshell, I think it was a bad year for injuries, but most years are bad years for injuries for us. I don't know why, but we seem to be cruelled with injuries most years. If you go back over those years and have a look at the injury list. Again, this year we had players who never played a game.
Caleb Marchbank.
Caleb Marchbank's the one that immediately comes to mind. We almost didn't get anything out of Charlie Curnow. Thankfully, we got to play him for the last handful of games. Yeah. Mitch McGovern, similar. There were other examples like David Cunningham, who started to show some really good form and then went down with a bad knee injury in the first couple of minutes of the Melbourne game. Again, that young player is so talented, but just can't seem to stay on the park. Eventually gets on it, but then within a few weeks, something else happens and he gets injured again. Look, we've got to do something about this, and if Andrew Russell's going to be paid as handsomely as he apparently is, I hear reports that he's actually on more than what David Teague was on,
which is scary.
Which baffles me for starters.
Scary.
But, I mean, if that's going to be the case, you can't have brand new recruits like Zach Williams turning up on 900,000 a year or whatever he is, and he's overweight and out of shape, and Mitch McGovern's out of shape. It's amazing how many players. Jack Martin was another one who was injured quite a bit this year, and he didn't look in good shape either. A lot of these players that we've actually recruited to the club on big money contracts, they're some of the worst examples of players who don't turn up in shape.
And that brings me to
and that makes you wonder, what sort of program is being implemented at the club?
Exactly. This brings me to the next point about poor form, because Mitch McGovern was a good footballer at Adelaide. Jack Martin was a decent player at Gold Coast, and Zach Williams was okay at GWS. And they come to Carlton all of a sudden. I mean, Mitch McGovern looks like he's been out eating pies, and Jack Martin sometimes looks like he's got a bit of the Chrissy Aarons about him, Jack Martin. He has that lackadaisical, I don't give a shit look, and then will just dazzle you with brilliance.
He doesn't do it enough, and he goes missing for big chunks of time, doesn't he?
That's the problem.
You're not getting value. You're not getting value for your dollar if you look at what these players are being paid. I just can't see the justification in it. All I can assume, rightly or wrongly, is that in our attempt to recruit players to the club, especially the free agents, we are offering well over the odds just to get players to come. Such is our inability to attract players to this club. It's clearly not a destination club for some reason, because we seem to have to offer this big money and long contracts in order to get them to come. And even if you do succeed in persuading them to come, Joe, what worries me is they're only coming because they've got dollar signs in their eyes, not because they are necessarily coming to a successful organisation that they respect and that they're looking forward to playing in finals and grand finals. They're just coming because they probably know they're only worth 350, 400,000, and they're getting paid 7 or 8.
Yeah,
and why we continue to do this, I'm not sure. All I can assume now is that we're going to have some serious salary cap issues in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Even this new recruit that they're touting, Chera from Fremantle, You know, if we're going to start playing 700,000 and 800,000 for a player who wouldn't be better than maybe fourth in line in their midfield, I don't understand how you can offer that sort of money and to trade pick 6 for someone like him.
We need to start developing, and Goz raises a good point about, do we have depth? Because at the start of the year, majority said yes. Do you know something? I think we have depth, but in the wrong areas. I think we've got a wealth of midfielders, and we never worried about.
I disagree with that. I don't think we've got much depth in the midfield at all. Well, not quality, not real top quality midfielders.
I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about depth of midfielders. There's a difference between quality midfielders and midfielders. When you look, we've got Stocker.
Well, are you going to call Nunes a midfielder? Are you going to call Lockie O'Brien a midfielder?
Well, they are. They were recruited to be in the midfield.
They're struggling to get games, these guys.
Exactly. And Michelle's saying, I want to know why players were being played week after week when they underperformed and the younger guys weren't getting many games. I can tell you why. Because they paid big money to these players and they wanted to show the supporters, well, we're paying it. They want to earn their cash. I mean, I don't agree with what they did, but...
Yeah.
You know,
no. Look, selection integrity was a major issue this year. I think there were clearly issues at the club when it came to selection. My understanding is that David Teague was not always the final say when it came to selection. In fact, the information I have is that even when it came to Mark Murphy and seeing Mark Murphy through to 300 games, David Teague wasn't keen and was actually overruled, if you like, and told that he had to play him and that they had to see him through to 300. Now, that tells me that there's some major division within the football department there, and that they're not all singing from the same songbook.
No, and Tony raises a good point. Player development has been way too slow. Yep. I mean, I don't. We talked about Geelong earlier before, and their player development. That's quite good. I'm going to bring our brother Rich. How are you, man?
Boys. There he is. The Sheikh of Sleek.
Yasu. How are you?
Yasu? Did you say Yasu? That's Greek, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know any Lebanese. How do you say hello? How do you say hello in that?
You can say salamu alaikum, or you can say habibi.
Oh, habibi's easy. I didn't know the first one. First one's way too hard, mate. I'm Italian.
Richard Rashid Hussein, or better known as Rash. Great to have you with us, Rash.
Mate, I just want to come on and say a big hello and congrats on the pilot. Great stuff.
Thank you.
I mean, I was listening while my interview was going on at the same time. So anyone who was watching.
Rich, give it a plug. Come on, give it a plug, your interview.
Oh, well, it was on Blues Abroad, just with Terry, who's Carlton People, which I believe Vince has done also. So it was just really nice to just have a chat to him and why I followed the Blues and stuff. So it was on at the same time.
Hey, what number are you? What number are you, Rash?
60.
You're Carlton People number 60. I'm number 52. So if anyone wants to,
all right, same as your age.
If anyone wants to waste an hour of their life, they can have a look at that one as well.
Oh, I'm sure it's not wasted. Hey, guys,
boys.
Yeah, go, Rich.
But I just want to say, look, congrats on the pilot, seriously. And I was listening while listening to the other one at the same time because I was making comments. But this is so good for you guys to be back on the air, and I'm sure would love to join whenever you guys invite me.
Don't worry, you'll be invited, all right. We want to get our value for money. We're paying you $900,000 a year like Zach Williams.
Very good. Am I in the blue corner?
You have to give up the souvlaki.
So you're obviously coming to us live from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates in the sandpit.
Hang on.
That's right.
Just give us an idea, Rash. It's 2:45 in the afternoon there. Is that right?
It is. And that's why I'm going to leave in about 5-10 minutes because I've got to pick up my little girl from school. But
and what temperature is it there in Dubai today?
It's actually really good weather. Today it's about
only 65 degrees.
No, it's actually no. Seriously, it's about 36 today.
How much?
It's dropped.
36.
Let me check exactly. I will tell you right now. weather.
That's almost freezing temperature for you. 38. There you go.
38 degrees.
Well, I've been there before, and I went into a swimming pool on the top floor of the Sheraton, and came out and lay down on the sun lounge for about 3.5 minutes, and my skin was already burning. I had to go back in the pool again. So that's how hot it is in Dubai, as anyone would attest to if they've been there.
And anyone would not. Go ahead,
we've got a special guest. Here he is.
Another special guest. The main
Hi, guys.
Can
you hear me all right?
Yeah, got a bit of feedback.
We're getting a bit of feedback from you, Rocco. Just a bit of echoing effect there.
Rocco, you need to turn off the Facebook that's going on at the same time. So mute that, and then you'll be able to talk normally.
Oh, he's frozen up now.
Hold on.
Okay,
that's all right.
For anyone who's wondering, Rocco Stagnetti, he's the brains and also the host of the most popular online show to do with the Carlton Football Club called The Jumper Punch, and it's on every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. And he's on there with two other guys who happen to be cousins, two other guys called Mars or Marcello and Paul, or often referred to as Paolo. Marcello Sebastiani and Paul Sebastiani. So the three of them do the Jumper Punch every week, and it's been so popular that they're even looking very likely to continue the show, even though it's a show that's based on football and specifically Carlton. Looks like they're going to go right through cricket season, the spring carnival, tennis, golf, cricket, you name it. They'll go right through the summer months, I believe.
Yeah, he's disappeared. Hey, Rich, you said you were going to go. Give us a quick couple of minutes. Carlton season. What do you think?
How could you look? Because I'm an optimist, I would say the greatest thing about what's happening right now is that there's going to be change. That's inevitable. So the change is starting to happen, and without getting into that political place, discussing that, overall it's been a disappointing season. So, Are you hoping for more next year? Well, what do you think will happen next year? Actually, I said this in an interview, plugging Blue Abroad interview again, but I said that because he asked me the question. That's why. But and by the way, Rocco sent us to send him the invite if you can.
The link.
Yeah.
Send Rocco the link, Joe.
What I think what's going to happen is that your question? You asked me what do you think of the future? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
What do you think will happen?
What are the changes that you think will occur?
Well, it's hard to know exactly, but I'm more optimistic that there will be a change purely on the intrinsic side of culture and development within that club and transparency and all of the good things that Vince talks about often. And I don't know, maybe I'm an optimist too much, but I really think that's at least a stepping stone if we really, really want change. That has to happen. So I'm optimistic. I think with everything that's happening with all these great shows like your show and Jumper Punch and all of these great shows, we have so much more awareness of what's happening. So having that and awareness will help at least push change, even if they don't want change. So
tell us a little bit about what you do, Rash, and you've also got your own show too that I saw the other day. So why don't you tell us all about Lionheart and the nature of work that you do and what your specialty is.
All right. It's okay. I'll give it a bit of a plug. Great. On your pilot.
Why not?
Lionheart is my company, is my nickname, hence the name Richard, the Lionheart. I started that in 2012, initially working with a lot of rock stars, entertainers, etc. In the last 6 years, I got certified as a certified hypnotist and neuro-linguistic programming, which basically I do mind fitness. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that in the entertainment field, and now I do it in sports with athletes, entertainers, corporate CEOs, mentoring, coaching, and working out what the problems are and coming up with solutions and working on on this side. So I got a program with a friend of mine named Sam, and we call it the HIT, DXB. Like, come and get the HIT, and HIT is an acronym for Human Investment Technology. So it's a real investment. The most important investment you can do is in you, and that's what we do. And we just talk about stories of people that we've helped throughout their journeys, where they've got depression, mental health issues, or not getting to the high performance they need to get to, and they could be a footballer. So I put it out there today. I want to work with SBS. Just putting it out there.
As in
Rash,
Sam Petrescu-Seaton.
Yeah. Rash, tell us when can people see your show? What day?
It's on every Tuesdays, 8:30 Dubai
PM?
time, which is 2:30 Melbourne.
8:30 so you're talking about 8:30 a.m. in Dubai, 2:30 p.m. Australian
Melbourne?
Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
all right.
so that's what we do, and we've got some interesting topics this week. We're going to be talking, about procrastination and self-belief, which is a really important thing.
So is that the Lionheart channel, or is that what channel can people get onto?
It's
YouTube?
on the Lionheart Facebook page until we go full on with the
YouTube.
But
For those people who are interested, I'll get Rash to put a link in the Blue Corner Facebook page, and everyone can then log on. And I was on the first show. I think Vince was, and Rocco was too. It was great. Really, really good.
And by the way, for anyone who missed it, as Rash explained, he's in the entertainment industry, and his specialty is in impersonating comedians, specifically Vince Sorrenti.
Okay, thank you very much.
God, very nice. Hey, Rash,
I love Rash. I think he makes a fantastic Vince Sorrenti.
Yeah.
In fact,
mate.
I'll put that link, because I can't access your thing, onto the WhatsApp group. So if you can copy that and put it there, it would be great.
Okay, I'll do that for you. Not a problem. And I encourage everyone to watch, because it's very mind opening. It opens people's minds, and that's what you want. You want people to think.
I just wanted to say, there's a comment here I'm reading. It says, "Plenty of work for you at Carlton."
Exactly.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, and I've told you about this, Vince. I went to Carlton a couple of years ago, and had a few meetings with them about this. So
yes.
Let's hope they
listen this time.
Yeah, well, let's hope they listen, really, because I would love to. That would be a passion project for me. Seriously.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks
look,
for
there's
joining us,
certainly
mate.
some scope for that sort of thing with our players, and get them mentally right as well as physically right, and both sides of their health need to be worked on, both their physical health and their mental health. So,
can I say, people don't realize how the level of importance of high performance is not just physically being fit and doing your preseason. And I was saying this today, is that you could be extremely fit, but if you don't have the belief here, or you're not communicated to effectively, what's the use if you're the most fittest guy going up and down and not having confidence and not able to go to your potential? It's unbelievable. I can't believe why it's not so much more. It will be in the next 5 to 10 years, because Australia is a bit behind the rest of the sports in the world. But it will be a common thing. We're going, it's the mental coach, and then
everyone just thinks it's all about doing a good pre-season, but the good pre-season is as much about training the mind as it is about training the body.
It is.
It's all about mindfulness, man, and keeping that healthy.
Welcome aboard. And for those of you who are interested, get on that Lionheart. I'll put that link up later. And Rash, don't be a stranger. You're in the group, so I'll send you the link whenever you need it.
And for those of you who want to see a lot more of Rash, he'll be one of the regular contributors and regular, I guess, one of the regular panel on the Sunday night show, as we have some real good discussion and even debates on quite a few of those Sunday night shows. That will be the format pretty much of that Sunday show, is a debate. And the 4 constants on that show will be the 3 of us plus Rocco, who's missing at the moment. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I've sent him the link.
Rocco,
Hey,
will be in that. And we may have...
I've sent it to him.
We may have certain individuals coming in at various times on those Sundays. as well, making some cameo appearances. But
so yeah, I just wanted to point out we got Mr. Beach, Chris Beachy. G'day.
Oh, g'day, Chris Beach, the librarian.
Lana, we'll get Lana and Gina and Goz.
Lana, Gina.
No, we'll get. Don't worry, fellas. We met them from another channel, so
yes,
you'll all be invited on. So don't worry.
Yep,
Rash,
boys.
Take care.
Thanks for coming on, Rash.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, mate. I don't know what's happened to Rocco because I've seen him in the link. He got on, but anyway. So where were we at? So we're talking about poor form of players. While we've been all slapping each other on the back, we've had things about Emma Murray at Richmond. So that's right. How do we get the Chera deal done? I don't know whether we want or need Chera. I'm a bit up in the air. He's 3 years into a football career, and they want to pay him $750,000. I don't know if he's that much of a match winner. If people want to change my mind, please go ahead. We've got people like Dow and O'Brien.
Don't forget, we've still got a guy called Sam Walsh that we need to renew his contract next year.
Yeah, here he is. The bang himself.
Is that better?
That's a lot better, Rocco.
All right,
Rocco.
That's good.
I can see the backdrop of this Jumper Punch studio right behind you.
Yeah, that's it. You're at the Jumper Punch Studios here. Yes, that's correct.
Jumper Punch HQ, yeah?
HQ, yeah. This is where all the magic happens, mate. This is where all the magic happens. So
Joe, I've been fortunate enough to have been invited onto the Jumper Punch for an entire show, and
I'm still waiting for the invitation. I'll swim from Bangkok.
All right, it's there, mate. Well, if you can make it down, you can get straight on.
I'll tell you what, Rocco. I'll tell you one thing I noticed on your show last night. It ended up going for 2 hours and 35 minutes. Are you going to put a cap on this? Because you started off being about 1 hour, and then it's steadily grown to 2.5.
The first show was like 35 minutes, and
right?
We were thinking, don't make it too long, and now it's got to 2.5 hours. So look, our strategy is this: we just start talking, and then when it ends, it ends. So if people watch, they watch.
Strategy. So Rocco,
they seem to enjoy it. So.
They certainly do. I don't think there's any drop off. That's for sure, because I can't take my eyes off once I start watching.
Yeah,
share some wisdom with us, Rocco.
It's good to see.
What's going to happen at the Boys next year?
What do you want to know?
What's going to happen? Come on, what are we going to do? Obviously, we're going to get a new coach.
In what sense? Like, are we talking? We're definitely going to get a new coach, and that's still up in arms. I think. I don't think anyone's the wiser, really. I don't think anyone's the wiser what's going on. I still have faith that there's a bit of hope of Clarkson's going to come down. I think they're still going to be working on him. Whoever's in charge will be working on him constantly. But it might end up being someone like a Brad Scott, or I think they've tried to get their best, and then all of a sudden, I'm telling you, they're going to go to the bottom of the barrel. They're going to get the next best, which is, I don't know. I really don't know, man. In the last couple of weeks, I got confused.
Yeah, I don't blame you for being confused. The president came out and said we're going to go out and get the very best experienced coach that's out there, and now I'm seeing newspaper articles saying there's a strong likelihood now that Carlton may very well have to settle for a first-time coach again, whether it be a Blake Caracella or a Adam Uze or
they got no choice now.
An Adam Kingsley or someone along those lines who've done their apprenticeship at some of the clubs.
Hey, Tony said something here. Tony Filiola. The Clarko thing just won't go away. Has anyone heard him actually rule himself out?
No.
I listened on SEN, and his manager has said that he doesn't want to coach next year. But The follow-up question.
I don't take any weight in what his manager says. His manager's there to do only one thing and to get the. Like if I ran into him in my backyard, I wouldn't even know who he was, right?
Exactly.
So I'd probably like beat him up and throw him out because what are you doing in my backyard? So I really don't care who he is. I don't really care what he says. It's really a waste of time of even interviewing that bloke. It's really a waste of time. His job is to get the best price for his client. And at the end of the day, he's a leech like everyone else, and he'll get as much as he can for him because he wants to make his commission. So at the end of the day, there's been nothing about Clarkson. So he might still come over, but there's still a lot of work to do. I think the board, they're under a little bit of pressure now. They had a plan, and it kind of like it went away from that plan with Clarkson. Something happened there with Ross, right? Because he was really plan B, and he looked like he was over the line. And then since he hasn't come through, they're saying they have to go for a process. Well, of course you got to go for a process. What do you want to do now? You've got no choice but to go through the process now. Because at the end of the day, if they had Clarkson, there would have been no process. The only process would have been sign here, initial here, and sign here. That would have been the process.
Yeah. Goz has got a good candidate.
Who's
Trump.
Donald Trump.
Instead of make America great again, it's make Carlton great again.
Yeah, well, at least if Donald Trump gets the job, the first thing he's going to do is build a big wall around Icon Park so that they can't get any leaks out of the place.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway.
Or at least he'll get the place finished.
That's right.
He'll walk around and fire everyone. You're fired.
Rocco, can I ask you this question?
Wow.
How important could now he hasn't been fired yet, so I guess we're sort of jumping the gun a little bit. But from what we're hearing, the Carlton hierarchy are going after people like Brian Cook as a CEO. Could achieving that sort of a signing of Brian Cook be just as important, if not in some regards even more important, than getting a Clarkson? Because Brian Cook, if he's going to be swayed to come, he's going to be running the entire organisation. I mean, the CEO's job is the most important job at the club.
I think it's probably behind the coach is like the most important job in the whole club for sure. So getting someone now, it's Brian Cook who could be available, so he's the man maybe, but someone that caliber who can run a club and has got the runs behind him, I think is almost the most important thing at the moment. We need someone there because really, Kane Little, I don't know, man. Like he's really the finances and that they all seem to be running well. Outside the club seems to be running well, but I don't know. Like Brian Cook, I think is the way they've done it. They're chasing him while they've still got Kane Little on. He's on the coaching panel, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's a strange one too. I mean, to include. I mean, look, under normal circumstances, it would be quite normal to have your CEO and your head of football, as in Brad Lloyd, on that coaching panel. But considering the president hasn't guaranteed these two guys their jobs going into next year, it seems awfully strange to me to be putting them on this panel when they may not even be there. And the futures of these potential coaches are riding on their opinions and their selection. And I don't think that's an ideal scenario at all. If their positions are not necessarily guaranteed by the president, I don't think he should have put them on the panel.
We've got a new coach. Carlton Mick's going to coach him for a slab of hammer and tong.
Go on, Rocco. What do you think? What do you think?
Well, listen. No, well, it's ridiculous. Like, let's have a look at that. That's ridiculous. They're not even guaranteed their positions. Like, don't even know what's going on, and you put them on the panel. And if we're going to go through the panel, I don't even believe David Parkins should be there. So I don't even know why they've got him there. Like, that to me is just a name. Why would they get David Parkins there?
To appease
so
the,
David
to
turned
appease the
79
supporters.
this weekend.
It's the name. It's David Parkins.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I mean,
what credentials has he got now as a 79-year-old? And age hasn't got nothing to do with it. But, like, I don't know, what's he – has he been part of a club in the recent 10 or 15 years?
No.
Or
I think, look, we all love David Parkins.
he,
no one loves him more than I do. But
of course, I love him.
But
I love him.
It's in a lot of ways unfair, I think, to have put him in that position. He's so
he would have found it hard to say
so
no.
loyal and so indebted in his own mind to the club for giving him what the club's given him over the years and the success that he's enjoyed as a coach there, that whenever the clubs come calling, he always shows up. I recall when I was president of the Carltonians, if I ever called upon David Parkin to come to a function or to be a guest speaker or to present some awards or something, he always said yes. That's the nature of the guy. But, you know, at age 79, this weekend he turned 79, you know, even he would probably say, look, I've been out of the game for a long time, 20 years, 21 years since he coached. It's a long time out of the game, and whether he's got a grasp of the modern game and what's required of a coach in the modern era, I don't know. I think you might be right on the money there, Rocco, that they just wanted him for his name and therefore for the popularity of having a revered icon on that committee, rather than because he's necessarily the best choice to be on that committee.
So
I agree.
I'm going to ask you guys a question. So, who do you want to be the coach, and who do you think will get the job?
Righto.
I'll start with you, Rocco.
All right.
Well, he wants Clarkson for starters, I can tell you that much.
I want Clarkson to be the coach, full stop. Yep. That's it. I don't care who's in charge of the board, and I want Clarkson to be the coach. And I don't think they should stop until they sign a coach. All right? They should not stop.
Now, do you think that he will end up being the coach, Rocco?
Yeah, that's...
Yes.
Okay.
So eventually you reckon they'll just crack him, and sooner or later, you know, $10 million a year is going to do the trick.
I think the dollars is going to be important.
Everyone's got their price, in other words.
I think he's a career coach. I don't think he's going to realise that he's going to want to keep coaching. I don't know why he wants a year off. Just maybe I'm wrong. Anyway,
is there a chance, Rocco? Is there a chance, as I suspect, that this whole rhetoric around, I just want a year off, is that Alistair Clarkson's way of trying to be nice and saying, I don't want to come to your club because I don't respect it, and I don't want to be part of this club because of the board that's there, and because I know what Brett Ratton was saying about this board when he got sacked, and I know what Brendan Bolton was saying about this board when he got sacked, and I don't want to be yet another victim of drinking from the poison chalice that is the Carlton coaching job.
I like how you threw that in. All right.
Well, it is. Let's face it. Every coach ends up getting sacked before their contract is finished. The last six.
Well, Jose Mourinho's been doing that for years.
The last six senior coaches have been unceremoniously sacked before their contracts are finished.
Yeah, but do you think that Clarkson would care about not hurting Carlton's feelings?
No, what I'm saying is that publicly he's coming out with, oh, look, I just want a year off. But really, could it be that what he's really saying is, no, thanks, I don't really respect your football club, and I don't really respect you people. And he's just trying to be nice about it rather than insult them.
My question has always been, since we're going to go into that, my question's always been not that these two people in Ross Lyon and Clarkson haven't come to the club. The question is always, why haven't they come? No one has answered why they haven't come to this club. Like, why wouldn't you want to come to this club?
But Rocco, that is what I'm alluding to. That the reason why they don't come is because they don't respect it. It's common knowledge in AFL circles that Carlton is the coach's graveyard, as I think I just saw Robert make a comment just now.
Are you saying that
why would you want to have your reputation ruined and your career cut short?
Yeah, we've lost him.
Are you in a hurry?
Well, Vince is gone.
All right, we've lost him.
He's lost.
All right, we've lost him. So
I know he told me at the start of the show that he's running on battery. His battery was quite low. But we'll continue on without him for the moment. It is quite interesting. I mean, I'm with you, Rocco. I would like to have him there. I hope that they chase him hard. Will he come? I'm 50-50. He's back. He's 50-50, but
sorry guys, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
sure. I think you got cut off by Carlton there.
Yeah,
it sometimes happens on StreamYard. I just get cut off for no reason. It just goes bang.
I'm telling you, Carlton got their finger on everything, mate.
Big Brother is watching, Vince.
Yes, I'm sure they are. They are.
We've spoken enough about the coach. I'm sure this will play out. They've said it's going to be a 4 to 6 week process.
Can I just ask Rocco one other question about that? Sorry, Joe.
Oh,
very important. Very important one. Joe.
Yep.
Vince.
What if it was genuine that Alistair Clarkson simply wanted the year off? His wife apparently wants him to take a year off, spend some time with the kids, go out on the farm and just enjoy life and have a breather and get his thoughts together while he enjoys being paid $1 million by Hawthorn. Now, what if there was a deal struck where they put in some sort of interim coach just for the next 12 months at Carlton because they've signed up Clarkson to start in 2023?
No.
Would you be someone who supported that?
No,
because I've heard that idea being expressed recently.
I don't believe in that. If that was the case, you should have bloody left David Teague there, right? Because
but it hasn't worked out that way, Joe. So what I'm saying is,
I know,
what I've heard. Hang on. What I've heard is that Clarkson got spooked to a large extent because of the way the board treated David Teague, whether he was the right coach or not the right coach, or whether he was the man to lead the club forward or not, is beside the point. The way he was treated by his own club board was appalling in a lot of people's opinions, including me. And Clarkson apparently got spooked, and even Caroline Wilson said this on Footy Classified. So now that he's gone, if they were to do a deal like that, Rocco, would you be in favour of that? Where Clarkson says, "I just want a year off, and then I'll start with you. I'll start with you in 2023."
Nah, that's ridiculous. So it's just a wasted year. So let's just not play this year, right?
Yeah.
Because then what would you do? No, seriously, what would the new coach do, or this intern coach do? What does he do? Does he play?
By the way, I'm not saying I'm in favour of it either. But some people are saying that if Clarkson's issue is purely, I just want 12 months off, but then I'm happy to come. Would you sign me up on that basis?
It can't work.
But I'm going to throw something at you. Where the hell's he going to go? COVID. You guys can't leave the country. You can't get back in. It's not like
the rumours now are, Joe, that he's being wooed by the AFL itself to go and rescue Gold Coast, because they've been a basket case for 11 years that they've been in the competition. I don't think they've made finals once in 11 years. And they're still struggling in the bottom four.
Yeah, well, that team's a joke. It should never have started in the first place. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day.
But they're talking about paying him $2 million to go up there and fix it.
Well, who'd want to go live with a bunch of rednecks?
Seriously, don't waste your time at Gold Coast. Seriously, come on, guys. What are we doing here? Don't even waste your time going there. You're talking about Carlton being the poison chalice. I can't see nothing happening at Gold Coast. Sorry, people. Gold Coast is only good for Dream World, and that's it, man. Like, don't bother going down there, man. Seriously.
That's it. Finish. Okay. So look, we've been on for an hour and 15. We'll just go for another 15 minutes, and then my wife or my girlfriend wants to go to the protest down the street. So
you've got protests, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm petrified that we're going to get hit with the rubber bullets, but she wants to go, so I got to go down there.
Life in Thailand, eh?
Yeah, everyone's been. That's a discussion for another day. I'm sure everyone has read in the newspaper about the board and Vince with the Carlton now. As I said to people, we hear all views. Vince, can you give us a quick snapshot of what is happening? And before I go on, I made this point clear to friends. I would ask people, all Carlton members, to take this seriously, because if you're a voting member, I would read both sides of the ledger. You'd read the boards and the Carlton Nows, because this is a very important vote. It affects all of us. So, Vince, can you just give us a brief rundown of why you've taken the action that you've taken and how you think it will benefit the club in the long term?
Okay, I'll try and make this as concise as I can.
Thanks.
I think what's important to know right at the moment is that a petition was lodged with the football club just under 2 weeks ago on Friday, the 27th of August, and that petition was signed by comfortably more people than what was required by the Constitution to make it a legally enforceable petition.
Yep.
And the resolution on that petition is to have an EGM, an extraordinary general meeting of the voting members, so that they can vote on whether they want to spill the board, all 8 positions on the board, and create an election.
Can I just stop you there for a minute?
Or not to spill the board.
Now, Vince, you're not suggesting to spill the board. You're just asking the members to vote on it. A lot of people are thinking that you're wanting to spill the board.
I wouldn't put it like that, Joe. I wouldn't put it like that. Yes, I am naturally encouraging people to vote yes to the resolution to spill the board. But what the meeting is for... Okay, let me explain it. The meeting is an extraordinary general meeting. It has yet to be scheduled. We're right at the moment waiting for the club to schedule the meeting. Now, almost 2 weeks have passed.
Yep.
They've got 3 weeks in total from the date that it was lodged to schedule a meeting. And the meeting must be scheduled no later than the 27th of October, because that's 2 months after it was lodged. And they have to give us a minimum of 21 days notice for the meeting. So if they announced it tomorrow, for example, tomorrow being the 9th of September, the earliest date that they could schedule it would be the 30th of September. That's 21 days from now, or from tomorrow.
30th of October.
But they could give us more than 3 weeks, but no later than the 27th of October.
Okay.
So the petition's been lodged. We now await the club. It's got another 9 days, roughly, to schedule the meeting. Once the meeting is scheduled, and in advance of that meeting, I intend to reveal at least some of the people, if not all of the people, that will be contesting the positions on that board.
Yep.
Should the members decide to vote for an election.
Yep.
If they decide not to vote to have an election, it's the end of it. It's the end of it, and what basically the members will have said, no, we don't want to spill the board. We want to continue with Luke Sayers and his board. Okay. So if the members do vote to spill the board, what then happens is that there's another period of time for campaigning and lobbying. Naturally, the club will have to call for nominations. There could be 1 ticket. There could be 2 tickets. There could be more. When we say ticket, we're talking about a team of 8 people to challenge for those 8 positions. There could also be individuals who put themselves up as independent people, not part of any ticket, not part of any team, just simply want to run on their own. A little bit like in political elections, you have these independents. and not part of any political party. So it's a similar thing to that. Now, you asked the question of what's brought this about, or what's the reason for all of this. In essence, back in late July, after yet another disappointing season where the team was underperforming, the club called for this review, or at least the president in waiting at the time, Luke Sayers, who's now the president, called for an external review. All sorts of distractions were happening around us about what was happening with the team. Would David Teague hold his job? Alistair Clarkson became available. All of this speculation was going around and about with the team. The club decided to write to all the members. And right in the middle of a lockdown. And they scheduled a meeting 21 days, the absolute minimum of 21 days as per the Constitution, to not just amend one or two clauses in the Constitution or amend one or two words in the clauses of the Constitution, but they actually were proposing a brand new Constitution in its entirety, right? So totally reworded, all updated with current day language. They dressed it up with Indigenous recognition, in recognition also of gender equality and all of these sorts of issues. They also promoted that part of this new constitution would recognise AFL members with Carlton support package, that they could now become voting members. So these were all parts of the constitution that they wanted to bring in. But what they didn't highlight and what they didn't promote and what they weren't transparent about was a lot of what I call hidden nasties underneath the cloak of Indigenous recognition and gender equality, because there were a lot of clauses that had been changed in that new constitution, which meant that, for example, the new president, Luke Sayers, even though he's only got 2 years left on his 12-year term, because he's been there for 10 years already, would only be allowed, would be allowed to serve a minimum of 4 years as president, regardless of how many years left he has on his 12-year term. So that was a measure to extend his presidency beyond the normal 12-year limit. That was a proposed change. Another change was that he could invite new board members on if there was a casual vacancy who weren't even Carlton Football Club members. Currently, you need to be a Carlton Football Club voting member for a minimum of 2 years prior to coming onto the board. Now, amending that would have meant he could invite any one of his mates onto the board without even being a Carlton supporter, let alone a Carlton member, which I found staggering. Another change they wanted to introduce was a reduction in the amount of board members going up for re-election every year. Every year, normally, there's 1/3 of the board members that have to go up for re-election. They wanted to reduce that to 1/4 of the board. So instead of 3 people every year, it becomes 2. So basically, if you're on a board of 8, you're only going to go up every 4 years to be ratified by the members, if those rules had to come in. And the one that really triggered me, Joe, was the rules around calling an extraordinary general meeting. They wanted to change the rules so that instead of getting 100 Carlton voting members to sign a petition as a minimum to create an EGM, to create an extraordinary general meeting, that you would now have to get 5% of the total voting pool. Now, right now, I'm told that the voting pool is around 35,000 out of our 81,000 members. So even on today's figures, 5% of that would be 1,750. That's 17.5 times more signatures than what you need today. But they also wanted to bring in a change of wording as to who becomes an eligible member, because they also wanted to bring in something where the board, at its discretion, at its sole discretion, can choose to add anyone they like into the voting pool. So let's just paint a picture here. Let's just say the board can smell a challenge coming. All of a sudden, they make a declaration that they've had a board meeting and they're going to let every single member of the Carlton Football Club, regardless of how many games their membership goes for, 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, 11 games, 22 games, whatever. All of a sudden, up to 80,000 members on today's figures could make up that voting pool. Do you know what 5% of that means?
Yeah.
That means over 4,000 people that you have to round up signatures for just to get a meeting. That's not to spill the board.
No,
that's just to get a meeting of the members to then vote on whether they want to spill the board.
Okay.
In all practicality, that would have meant being impossible, practically impossible, to hold the board to account ever again. Because I don't know whether you realise it, but it's damn hard to get petitions signed by people. I even went through the whole process in the last month. Some people say, yeah, okay, I'll sign it.
And then they don't
get
do
cold feet, or then they get intimidated by the club because the club puts pressure on them not to do it. You've got no idea how many different reasons people shy away from signing that petition.
No, I know.
Now, this power grab, and that's all it was. It was a blatant power grab that was hidden. These clauses were all hidden underneath the cloak. And that's what one thing I identified this. See, not too many people went right into the email and then searched the documents and then read all the documents. They're all so litigiously written by all these lawyers that seem to be hell-bent on confusing everybody. 99% of the members wouldn't have even gone past the first base.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me and fortunately for the members, I'm pretty good with an eye for detail, and I went right through it with an eye for detail, and I identified these changes, and I thought there is no way that these people, that the average Carlton member is going to see this. It's just so brilliantly disguised. If their plan was to deceive the Carlton members, they've done an absolutely sensational job of it.
So
because 99% of people won't see this.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because we could go on for hours.
No, I'm just going to get to the bottom line right now. So in essence, I road tested it. I sent it to a whole stack of friends and said, "Tell me what you think of this." None of them spotted it. None of them identified it. And I thought something's got to be said. Something's got to be exposed about this. So I decided to go public, and I exposed the board for being power hungry and for being arrogant and audacious and literally deceptive and trying to hoodwink the Carlton members, to use a Rocco term. They were really trying to hoodwink the Carlton members into a brand new set of rules, which would have made it completely safe for them, really, forever, to continue to govern the club without ever realistically having a challenge ever against them again. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to allow these power-drunk, self-entitled corporate bullies to hijack our football club.
Yeah.
And so I went public, and the reaction I got from the club was not to even give me a response to what I thought was a reasonable request. All I asked them to do was to postpone the meeting that they had set down for 3 weeks' time. And I said, please put it down towards the end of the year and at least give the Carlton members an opportunity to digest these changes, to understand what they're all about, and to vote separately on all of these clauses.
Yeah.
Because they wanted you to just get the one vote, yes or no, to the whole box and dice, right?
So, Vince...
They didn't even give me the courtesy of a response. So, therefore, I've come to the conclusion that this board is made up of people who are deceptive, immoral, unethical, and have literally lost the confidence of not only me, but thousands of Carlton members. And they're no longer fit to govern. In my view, they are not fit to govern, And Luke Sayers, having been part of that board and literally joined at the hip with the previous president on all major decisions, ought to be held accountable for this. He's now the new president. He's replaced half of his board, but the other half is still there. And in all honesty, they all deserve to be put forward to the Carlton members and made accountable for what they've done.
So, Vince, this just to clear this up, and thanks for that, this is nothing personal, right? People think you're on this personal power.
It's all about performance. It's all about performance, and it's all about character. Because what I point to is this. What sort of board of directors do you want, Carlton supporters, Carlton members? What sort of board do you want? Do you want a board that goes out of its way to deceive you, to entrench their power, and to tighten the stranglehold that they have on this club at your expense? Is that what board you want? This is what Luke Sayers and his team have been part of. A deception plan. And that, in my view, is unacceptable. It renders them unfit to govern our football club. It's not good enough. To be honest, when I exposed this, if these people had an ounce of integrity, they would have said, you know what? We've been caught red-handed. It's time to resign. We've been presiding over this club for over a decade. It's been the worst decade on field in our history. And now we've been caught in a deceptive plan. We've got no option but to resign. Did any of them resign, Rocco?
We might have to go tomorrow.
Did any of them resign, Joe? Not one.
No.
That goes to show you what type of people we have on our current board of directors.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been going for an hour and a half.
Unacceptable to me.
And look, I think that was well said. And
by the way, anyone who wants to be kept up to date with what we're doing, there's a Facebook page called Carlton Now.
I'll
if you
put a
go
link
to the
on
Facebook page Carlton Now, everything that we're doing is up there. There's a video explaining what we're all about. There are lots of articles that we've posted. There's lots of discussion going on. People are welcome to express their views, whether they are with us or against us or anywhere in between. That's fine. We welcome a range of different opinions and we'll respond to those. So by all means, go to Carlton Now on Facebook and be kept up to date with all that we're doing.
And thanks for explaining that, Vince. So, boys, we're gonna go. Rocco, any final words?
No, there's no final words. Vince said everything that he needed to say there. So that's it. That's all I say. I agree with you. All we need is a board that's more in tune with the supporters, which we haven't had for 20 years, really. And the other thing everyone's got to ask themselves, is there anyone on that board who's actually connected to the supporters? Is there one person who's in the middle there that can play a part from board to supporters? I don't know anyone on that board. I don't know anyone. Is there someone there that we could voice our opinion? No. So if we could even just get that on the board, I think it would be a huge, huge step. And like Vince said, this is not just about this first meeting. It's just about to see what the members want. And if they do want to go to the next step, well, then the members can decide. And it doesn't mean that the whole board gets spilled. It might only mean one or two positions. It might mean the whole board. The main thing is that the supporters and all the members get to choose. And just remember who this club belongs to. And if you choose to go either way, it's up to you. It's your choice. Yeah. But you should have that choice. That's it.
That's a good point, Rocco. The good point that you've just raised there is that it's ultimately up to the members. And even though there might be a team of 8 that already is in power and another alternative team of 8 could be put up against that, it's up to the members to vote for who they want. They might actually say, you know what, I like 2 or 3 of those people there and I like 4 or 5 of those ones. And that guy who's an independent, I reckon he's terrific. I want to vote for him too. So you may end up having a combination of both teams or, independents as well. So that's the beauty of democracy. And that's why I am prepared to trust whichever the way the vote goes. I will put it in the hands of the Carlton members and say, here's your opportunity. You haven't had an opportunity for 20 years to decide the direction that your football club's going to go in. I personally believe we're at a major, major crossroad in our history, and it's time for democracy to play out. And I have suggested that to the Carlton president, and he has run for the hills every time I've suggested it to him. Yeah. And I will still put it to him that what he should do, if he's a real leader and prepared to show some leadership, he ought to call the election himself, avoid the EGM, avoid all of that, go straight to an annual general meeting, full election of all 8 positions as soon as possible so that we can resolve all of this with a minimum of cost. And he should prosecute his case to the Carlton members, not just accept the presidency because Mark Lejudice, his mate, gave it to him. He should prosecute the case with his board and allow everyone else who wants to prosecute their case to also do the same and let the members decide. And you know what? If he was to be re-elected on that basis, I would be the first to shake his hand and I'd be the first to say publicly, right, the members have decided, let's now get behind the leader and let's 100%. Really support the agenda that he has and let's get behind him and let's hope it all works. Yeah, because 100%. That's what the important thing is, that we unify straight after an election, straight after the members have had their say, then we should all unify behind the leader. And that's the way it should work.
And on that note, I'd like to thank Vince and Rocco for tonight. Before I go, just a quick shout out to a very good old friend of mine, Joe O'Halloran in Perth. I grew up with Joe and I haven't seen Joe for a long time. So, Joe, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Big Carlton supporter.
I think Joe had a really good comment to make too, Joe, just before. I happened to read that and I thought it was a very worthwhile comment to read out.
Yes. So
it was great to be able to listen and watch the program or discussion without swearing, Joe. Very professional.
Don't look at me.
Well done, guys.
Anyway, they're probably looking at me, all right?
No.
No, but seriously, this is the new channel, so it's in the blue corner, and we got it basically from Vince being in the corner coming out fighting for the members.
We're not. No.
Just remember. No, you are, Vince.
In the blue corner is that we're all in the one corner. We're all in the corner of the Blues.
But that's what I was going to say. Vince is doing this not because he wants self-gratification. He has the club at heart. So he's looking out for the members. Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, Vince saw something wrong. He took it upon himself to do what he thought was right. Other people might say that he's wrong, and that's great. They're entitled to that view. But, I think someone else has said it. Thank you, Vince, for standing up for all the supporters and finding that, because if you hadn't have come out, that would have gone through, and who knows where we'd be. So, guys, in the blue corner, like and subscribe, share, tell your friends. Don't forget, Rocco down there in the corner, Jumper Punch. Rocco, what day is it on?
Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Come on, everyone should know that. Should be in your diary. But every Tuesday, get on and we have a little bit of a laugh. We have a little bit of a laugh.
Like and subscribe your show as well, isn't it, Rocco?
Yeah, that's it. Like and subscribe our show. No, it's all good.
And you'll get all the reminders.
Look, the good thing about the Blues is the community we've built, not only with our show and Blue Broad and this show now, like all of it, it's everyone's together. We're not, we've all got to stick together inside the club, outside the club. And that's the beauty about being a Bluey. That's what we are. We're all Blueies. We all come together. We all met each other through this, and I've met other people and we've built a community. And this is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, I'm just going to end it with this, man. The Blues, Carlton is the best club in the world. Let's all get it back to where it was.
That's what we want.
And
we want Carlton to be great again. And that's the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing is I literally, to borrow a phrase from Donald Trump, I just want Carlton to be great again.
And Rocco, I believe next week's show is going to be longer than the movie Ben-Hur. True or false?
But it's going to definitely look. We are going to go for a record the next couple of weeks, and we see how we go. Someone said to me, "It's like the Godfather trilogy, man. It takes you 3 nights to watch it." But anyway.
All right. So listen, all blue boys, blue girls, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday night. And
8 o'clock.
On Sunday night, we'll give you a bit more information about all the shows
8
we're
o'clock
going
Sunday
ahead.
night, Joe.
Be pardon, Vince.
8 o'clock Sunday night.
8 o'clock Sunday night. So it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from
Me.
Ciao.
And it's goodbye from
Me.
And it's goodbye from
all
me.
right, guys. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. See you all soon.
See you guys.
Cheers. Go Blue.